Carnival emancipation is the thing I see, but some people never say so. So they come and try to take the carnival from we, but the people love the CEO. Okay, don't know say me love me carnival. Don't wanna let go not at all. I wanna be old and great, taking a few with friends, jumping in my senses. There could be facts. Tell them nothing cannot stop this evil.
I don't know what I've been told. I don't know what I've been told. It's for your time to rock the world. For your time to rock the world. I don't know but I've been told. I don't know but I've been told. It's for your time to rock the world. For your time to rock the world. Champion. I am a champion. I am a champion. Oh yes, I am a champion. Champion. Champion.
Look who you are. Tell me stop. He's there. You better come on, Mike. Okay, Big Ben, try to come on, don't play me. Who you are? Hot, more fire. Hot. Who you hot? Yes, hot. Every country, what we hot. DJ. On pour le massive. Challenge. What's our community? Load and crew. You don't know. Love for you and you and you. It's you who give me vibes, who give me strength to come alive. It's you when I was lost, when I was down, you pick me up. It's you that bring a brighter day, you are the perfect one. It's you that showed me love when no one else would care to do. If you give it to Tiki, give it to Taz, you give it to Benji. Once you give it to me, we will give it to you. If you give it to Joffrey, give it to Kila, give it to Froggy. And you give it to me, we will give it to you. Yes, we know that's the sound.
Mikokla, Ocean, Iato.
Okay, boom. Tima, Sakaba,
Santa Bubun,
Sasakaba,
Benjamin Casanova, Nova,
Sakaba,
Movetza,
Sasakaba. Watch how we flip it. Hanuale, ding dangale, ding dangale. Hey girl, Hanuale, ding dangale. Santa we don't party normal, say we don't party normal. We don't party normal, we don't do nothing normal. We don't party normal, say we don't party normal. We don't party normal. Hey, ha.
Cause when we roll, we don't roll alone.
Together,
Skinny fabulous.
together.
Marshall,
We don't see color.
Yalin.
Together, we don't.
I'm moving up here with me, fella. With me, fella. When we come together, we mash up that, turn up that, we like a hammer.
Cause everybody drop it up together. Drop it up together, together. Mash it up together. Mash it up together, together. Wave it up together. Wave it up together, together. Drop it up together. Hey, we don't see skin. We don't see color. We see strength.
Stay on the road, nobody a pain stush. We getting on wild, but no man and child. This year carnival is like we under the bush. This year we vibe, we wicked and wild. Heading to town, thousands of wild people. We getting on like we in the jungle. We fierce, we free, nobody got in style. The whole nation gone wild, everybody get wild. Wild. Kick up like a donkey, climb up like a monkey. Wild.
for the go down for the
when you whine is that I like bumper causing fight. Okay. Rolling day and night. Move that side to side. Listen. Move that left to right. You could be black or white. You have a Coca-Cola shape, but girl you taste like Sprite. Okay. When I give you the that make you say. When you think tasting so good, you looking at me and say all by Mr. Promise. Everybody does do. When you're frustrated and can't take it, my girl, just
bend down for the go down for the
alle couche, double touche, in the bush, everywhere. Show me what you can do, girl. I back too.
Two man in his whole mask, I ain't seen nothing so yet. Most fish and smoke heroin, no people playing with bed. A man with a big dog, he dress up like a vet. I see a man with a big in Texas, check the internet. People do not kind of thing, don't know what they go do next. Some say it's animal cruelty, animal love sex. This woman mash up me place, nobody ever see that. You the man in she come out with a nice looking pussy cat. And then she oiling, she kiss it. She oiling, she kiss it. She oiling, she kiss it. And she make me want to kiss it. And she oiling, she kiss it.
Yo, this are the biggest collab. Dang. Boom. When we touch down, they open shell long. 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 When you see we Juve morning, all we do is chip. Behind the truck Juve morning, we black and we green. See, all a girl inside a van, make she bend and stick. She job like we don't give a damn. We mad and we sick. Juve money ringing bell, moving like we come from hell. We under a jab spell, so we playing jab until we dead. Jab we junk like fish, and you know any effect we dey in it. When you see we Juve morning,
just give us selfish to it.
all a girl, if she walk behind the truck. Baby girl, no waste no time. Back it up on me one time now. One by one, just fall in line. Let me jab take a wine. Everybody afraid that we, as you know we bad like that. Boom. When we touch down, you open shell long. 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 When you see we Juve morning, all we do is chip. Behind the truck Juve morning, we black and we green. See, all a girl inside a van, make she bend and stick. She job like we don't give a damn. We mad and we sick.
Job we no cater. See we on the newspaper, drinking under the counter, jamming girl on the street.
All of the boss girl, tell them the party start.
While Carnival has been viewed for its entertainment value, we recognize that it is one of the Caribbean region's most valuable exports. If therefore it is marketed and distributed with the right intellectual property protection, the economic benefits would be tremendous. Creating a strong brand for our festivals, capturing the culture and essence of the islands while protecting the intellectual property of these brands is essential to making our carnivals more sustainable and taking them to the next level. With this in mind, and through funding support from the Caribbean Development Bank's Cultural and Creative Industries Innovation Fund, St. Lucia, Dominica and Grenada have partnered to improve the branding, marketing and commercialization of their island's carnival. Brand development and intellectual property protection are key elements of any marketing strategy for Carnival. Creating, protecting, and marketing the strong identity of our carnivals will make Carnival even more attractive and improve the returns into the hands of carnival businesses and entrepreneurs. This means increased revenue for our bands, our musicians and artists, our costume designers, and every businessman and woman who works in this vibrant industry. Export St. Lucia is proud to be the recipient of this funding from the Caribbean Development Bank and to work with the Events Company of St. Lucia, the Cultural Development Foundation, the Discover Dominica Authority, and the Spice Mass Corporation of Grenada, as we combine strengths and unite to highlight our unique carnivals which attract revelers worldwide. 3 islands, taking Carnival forward together.
Hello and welcome. This is a production of Export St. Lucia, striving for excellence at home and abroad. We are coming to you live from the Government Information Service studios in Castries for a special panel edition to discuss the Cultural and Creative Industries Innovation Fund, CIIF, branding and commercialization of Carnival in St. Lucia, Dominica and Grenada. We know that we don't have just only persons viewing and joining from St. Lucia, but from all of these islands as well as the other locations where we have stakeholders. We're talking Trifecta Carnival, a collaborative marketing initiative, as well as other ventures to enhance the 3 islands' cultural and creative offerings. What are the best practices for developing this project? How do we bring together a range of voices, goals, and approaches to achieving the best possible roadmaps and products? We do hope that you stay tuned for the next hour or so to learn about the project outcomes, which include the CDB CIIF Intellectual Property Toolkit for St. Lucia, Dominica, and Grenada Carnivals. My name is Jessie Leonce, and at this point I would like to acknowledge the esteemed panelists that we have for today's broadcasts. We have Mr. Anthony John, Senior Client Manager from Export St. Lucia. He is in studio with us. And we also have in studio with us Mrs. Lorraine A. Sidani, Chief Executive Officer over at Events Company of St. Lucia. We also have in Zoom land joining us on the panel Dr. Mariel Barrow-Magnan, a Cultural and Creative Industries Innovative Fund Coordinator, Cultural Development Bank. They are the financiers of this initiative. We also have Mr. Colin Piper, Chief Executive Officer from the Discover Dominica Authority, and also Mr. Kelvin Jacob from the Spice Isle, Chief Executive Officer of Spice Mass Corporation, Grenada. Welcome, good afternoon to you all. Thank you so much for being here. So we continue with the program. Just want to let you know that you can post your queries, comments, commendations on the Facebook Live, also the Government of St. Lucia YouTube platform for the duration of this hour program as we hear the various contributions from our panelists. I want to start with Mr. Anthony John, who is to my immediate left, Senior Client Manager from Export St. Lucia, and he is going to just give us a project breakdown, give us the background and bring us up to speed with where Export St. Lucia is at right now in terms of this initiative. Good afternoon, Mr. John.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Jessie. Thank you to everyone joining in here today. Welcome to this panel discussion on the branding and commercialization of Carnival in the 3 countries, St. Lucia, Dominica, and Grenada. Protocol having already been established, I will now go into my presentation. Export St. Lucia successfully gathered funding from the highly converted subscribed Cultural and Creative Industries Innovation Fund, better known as the CIIF, which was established by the Caribbean Development Bank in 2017. The fund helps support the development and the creative industries sectors in the region. As per the project, the project mission was to develop a stronger and more consistent branding and marketing for Carnival in the 3 countries, St. Lucia, Dominica, and Grenada. and to address policy and IP issues related to those carnivals. The vision to increase the commercial viability and strengthening the branding of the free carnivals. The objective to develop and to improve the branding of carnival in St. Lucia, Dominica and Grenada. Increase the economic opportunities of the free OECS carnivals, as mentioned earlier, St. Lucia, Dominica and Grenada. To develop policy and carnival that will enable the sustainability to the event and to maximize the return of investments. The partnering agencies, as mentioned earlier, Grenada Spice Mass Corporation, Dominica Festival Committee, St. Lucia Events Company of St. Lucia, and the Cultural Development Foundation, CDF. The contracted consultant for this project was Acceler Marketing, a St. Lucian company. The first deliverable of this project was the development of the branding and marketing strategy for the free countries. The branding and marketing strategy is an integrated response to the needs, gaps, and key insights revealed in the findings of the Carnival audit and validation exercise which was undertaken in each of the countries. The overall objective was to increase awareness, engagement, and spend existing target audience of the respective countries. Increase new participants from the key markets for the respective carnivals and to penetrate new and underrepresented markets. Also to strengthen the respective brands of each carnival and help clarity, articulate and differentiate each brand. The strategy will seek to develop as many possible avenues and options that are optimized for success. The approach. A carnival audit, an extensive carnival audit was commissioned and completed within each of the free countries. A validation exercise with the partnering stakeholders and key persons of interest within those countries was also engaged. Each territory's carnival product had distinct strengths and opportunities which would have helped to develop power messaging that could deepen current participation and spark newcomers to participate. A strategic approach was taken to strengthen each of the carnivals to develop unique selling proposition and brand proposition and differentiations. A marketing strategy was completed for each of the participating countries, and it each contained a SWOT or strengths, weaknesses and opportunities and stakeholder market analysis for the countries. Key marketing insights, strategic approach, target audience, media and market activities, as well as a brand guideline developed for each country and for the carnival. The collaborative marketing initiative, as known as the Triumph product, when the free countries are brought together as one product, their separate brands will fall into a natural sequence that delivers one overall experience to the participants. The theme is a unifying call to action that free from approach of engaging each carnival in the order of advance from the promise benefited of the Triumph offering. The offering will allow each carnival to shine in its own right. However, it has been designed in such a way to encourage participation at all free carnivals during the course of a 3-year period. You may ask, what is the Trifecta Carnival? It's an experience-driven, creative, commercial product created for St. Lucia, Dominica, Grenada that offers the participants the opportunity to immerse themselves in varying levels and price points in 3 distinct carnivals in the region. The experience promises a transformative ritual of 3 carnivals that, when completed once or several times over the duration of a 3-year span, will unleash lots of positive energy into the world. As we know, right now, the world is in desperate need of healing, of love, the joyful unifying energy of party, and the force of power that comes from the people and pride in their culture. The theme, love, power, love, party, power. Why, you ask? Mas Dominic delivers the love. Love of our planet and of our people, with higher love and heart-lit love, represented by the color green. St. Lucia delivers the party. Human beings united in a mission to elevate, celebrate, and create memories, represented by the color gold. Spice Mass Grenada delivers the power. There is a spirit in all people who have known struggles and victory that needs to be unleashed, hence represented by the color red. The call to action, we ask that you join the ritual. Our answer to develop to deep, long around the world to vibrate at a high level of powerful ritual spreads across 3 islands and the formation of a global tribal embodying positiveness. Each country was given its own marketing strategy, and for Mas Dominic, the position of love as mentioned earlier, the feedback from Mas Dominic loyalists overwhelmingly points to a deep love of festival, an island that has nothing to do with harshly big, popular, seen and been seen, just as it is. This is genuine love from the heart of an island, the music, the people. The kind of love we are promoting within the trifecta is universal love, symbolized by the heart of chakra, which is green, love of the earth and its people, and love of life, music, and tradition. For St. Lucia, represented by gold, party. St. Lucia has perfected the art of the party, but it is not just about the party experience, but about an outpouring of humanity and celebration of life and love. Party is a unifying entity of the trifecta love party power. It can be booked one love and one power. Grenada, power. There is nothing like Grenada's power soca, and we all know the jab jab. It is the heavy metal of soca, whipping people into a frenzy and stirring mosh pits of fun-filled chaos. Grenada embodies the power of the people and has the most liberating Juve celebrations. To go with all this, the marketing elements of the Trifecta Carnival, we're hoping that the brand guides, that each country got their individual brand guides. The landing page of the country carnival sites would be augmented to suit. The free teaser videos, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, advertisements, 2-minute launch, media launch events. The promotion through social media, Zumbra, dance studios, virals, or YouTube for the Trifecta Soca routine. The Labor Day, Notting Hill Carnival, Miami, Caribana promotions, where we could have representation from each of those participating countries. Direct targeting, the Swiss Soca crew, the Dutch Soca crew, Finland Soca crew, and other hubs of international culture. All this can be represented as a formal package. There is one which we call the incentives, or the Trifecta Ritual Amulet. And what is this? The Ritual Amulet, it has a functional and decorative purpose. The snubble barcode needs to be incorporated into the design. The barcode reflects the Trifecta Carnival status of the wearer and what level that they are at when benefits are entailed to when they go to participate in each vendor. So you could have the amulet going from carnival to carnival, representing your participation at these carnivals. The marketing element of the love party power, symbolized by the color green, gold, and red. Forms of marketing would be the hanging banners, bumper stickers, feather banners. All can be displayed within the respective countries, portraying according to their country guides. We have the water bottles, caps, t-shirts, drawstring bags, all bearing the respective promotion of that Trifecta Carnival. Posters, bandstands, lanyards, and wristbands. As I mentioned earlier, each country received its own marketing strategy as well as the brand guidelines. So we'll just go a little deeper into the respective countries. Dominica, represented by green, and represents love. The Strength is a fully completed Carnival website that serves as a one-stop site supported by social media. And this is currently being undertaken by the contracted consultant to ensure that it reaches its final phase. The launch of Traditional Mass School as an after-school and summer camp program, and the exciting holistic mass appeal consolidated carnival attractions. And all this happens at the national level. Another focus for Dominica was the Grow, documentaries for carefully selected influencers and movies, proper target audience, indications and messaging. The momentum from the Trifecta marketing campaign, we're hoping to spearhead this. St. Lucia, represented by the color gold, and Party. Our brand definition was the differentiate. Proper branding, personality, articulation, and guide and refresh event website articulating the party position. Celebration of our women to coincide with the International Women's Day, which is celebrated on May 8th every year. The parties of parties, groups of couples, anything celebrated with young people needs to be done here during Carnival. And we know in St. Lucia, when it comes to fete and Carnival, we go all overboard. Then we come to the Vaval Spectacular, which gives the audience what they want: the marvel, the music, the magic, the large king and queen costume from junior and adult carnivals, and in-mass judging winners. And also a new consolidated product for the village carnival. As mentioned, some of the locations where we have carnival, Grosile, the different Soufrière, ancillary, and the different districts which normally have the carnival during the year. In terms of growth, the ratio of St. Lucia messages, market images about St. Lucia, and now include at least 30% focus of the carnival as focused during the carnival season. The mecca of the party for women, it needs to be the key marketing component right alongside the #1 honeymoon destination in the world. Our quality vlogs, documentaries, after movies for year-round content and more meaningful subjects. Women finding liberation, body positivity, rediscovering the inner goddess in St. Lucia, couples reuniting their passion for each other in St. Lucia. With Grenada, represented by the color red, and power. Boost Carnival cultural pride, the national PA, Grenadian identity and carnival accomplishment, economic contribution potential, the cultural contribution benefits, the jab positive power campaigns, upgrade of traditional mass characters of modern cosplay to attract new generations. In terms of commercializing, planning committee capacity audits and upgrade, the Grenada Tourism Authority must be more invested and involved, and the momentum from the Trifecta marketing campaign must be honored and continued. A signature Soca Monarch competition designed like a real concert event that has higher production value and greater podcast potential for Grenada and by extension the region. Soca Cruise to Carriacou and Island Carnival that offers a second chance to display some of the traditional characters within the bigger carnival. And this was the presentation in terms, the first component which dealt with the marketing and branding strategy for the respective countries. Now the second deliverable coming out of this project was the intellectual property toolkit, or the IP toolkit, which in a nutshell would govern the rights of the producers of Carnival as to the final product that was developed. The objective of the IP toolkit for the project, it was to give the stakeholders of Carnival the knowledge and the importance of IP, to identify intellectual property created during Carnival, how best the IP can be protected as rights, and to ultimately safeguard and monetize such rights. To raise the awareness of IP, its use, why is it necessary to understand its problems, what safeguards can be put in place, its availability for the free islands, methods of enforcement of economic sustainability of the Carnival's product in St. Lucia, Dominica and Grenada. The toolkit. You may ask, what does a toolkit of this magnitude encompasses? Well, it includes, first we gave the breakdown of what is the toolkit, what is IP, the types of IP that are involved and that can be related to Carnival, the intellectual property offices in Grenada, Dominica and St. Lucia, the bodies responsible for Carnival and the creators of IP. How to protect your IP in terms of the trademark, the patents, the copyright, the trade secrets and the trade designs that can all be on display for an eventful Carnival. And how to safeguard your intellectual property, and this focus more on the stakeholders in the Carnival, the event planners and promoters, the costume designers, the artists, musicians, performers, etc. It also encompasses examples, case studies, an IP valuation tool which can be accessed via the WIPO, the World International IP Organization, of which each of the individual countries' IP companies are assigned to or affiliated to provide value for IP assets, which include the trademarks, the trade designs, the copyrights, goodwill and trade secrets, which can help clients to ensure they cover the full relevant issues as per the Carnival. The approach of the toolkit. The overall approach was to start with the end in mind. The IP toolkit, it provided a framework to assist stakeholders in agreeing on the IP that they bring to Carnival, the industry as inputs, and what can be done when the finished product or the output is arrived. The toolkit, it provides the method necessary to safeguard so as to add value to make it profitable to your product or business in the Carnival industry, thus enhancing the economic benefits for Carnival by the stakeholders, by the government, and also the participants. Who handles the Carnival as a product? Well, they're basically free entities. As I mentioned earlier, the intellectual property offices, and each country in the participating country region, Dominica, St. Lucia and Grenada, has an IP office that is affiliated to WIPO, the World Intellectual Property Office. The government of St. Lucia, the governments of Dominica and the governments of Grenada, they have invested tremendous amounts of money in ensuring that Carnival in the region, in their respective countries, promoted not only for the locals but for international as a form of income. And also, but last but not least, the Carnival stakeholders, and these would be enhance the development by the participation of the event promoters, the band leaders, the designers, the event planners and the musicians. These are the persons who make Carnival happen. They are the ones who build the costumes, sing the songs, give us the performance of our lifetime. The bodies responsible for Carnival, in St. Lucia, we have two entities that are deeply rooted in Carnival. Events Company of St. Lucia, responsible basically for the promotion and marketing of Carnival at home and abroad. And the Cultural Development Foundation, CIIF, which does the in-country work, working with the artists, working with the designers and the other stakeholders. In terms of Dominica, the Dominica Ministry of Tourism, International Transport and Maritime Initiative is the responsible ministry for Carnival, with the statutory body of the Discover Dominica Authority, the DDA. In terms of Grenada, it is the Spice Mass Corporation, who is a statutory corporation created by Spice Pass to undertake and to ensure that the Carnival activities within that country is successful. Now, we spoke earlier on of IP, And in terms of the IP, who are the creators? At the public level, we have the authorities, the agencies that are responsible for Carnival. And as mentioned earlier, in Dominica, the Discover Dominica Authority and the Dominica Festival Committee. In St. Lucia, in Grenada, Spice Mass Corporation and St. Lucia, Events Company of St. Lucia, and the CIIF. In terms of the private sector, across the board, we have the same players. In terms of the band leaders, the costume designers, the names, the brands, the logos, the creations, and the what thereafter of Carnival. All those stakeholders that are involved in making the Carnival happen. Some of the methods that can be employed in assisting IP valuation, they will include the cost, the market value, economic costs, the trademarks, trade designs, and trade secrets, all of which are common in the respective countries. And yes, this was in a nutshell the IP toolkit, which was developed as part of this project for the participating countries, again St. Lucia, Dominica and Grenada, together with the marketing strategy and also the brand guidelines for each of those countries in terms of the Carnival project that we are undertaking with the support, the financing from CDB, the Caribbean Development Bank. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anthony John, Senior Client Manager with Export St. Lucia. They're giving us an overview of the commercialization of Carnival in St. Lucia, Dominica and Grenada, the targeted approach for the the individual islands, and the unified approach through the synergistic efforts to date. Before we move on, Mr. John, if you could just give us an update on the stakeholder consultations so far happening in the 3 islands.
Okay, so the project is at a stage where we have at the joint marketing initiatives where each participating country, St. Lucia, Dominica and Grenada, they have to come up with one event that would promote the Carnival in those free country territories. We are at the stage where we about to unveil a jingle promoting the free carnivals. At the national level, each country, each agency would be doing some promotional and marketing activities at the national level to ensure that persons home and abroad gets on board with the project, gets to know what's happening. They are at the stage where we commission of some social media marketing, and also promotion at the national level at items or areas in which the countries or the organizations seem fit for their respective entities.
Okay, and more specifically, we just want to touch on the major players in Carnival. We're talking about the Carnival bands. How have they been engaged so far?
Okay, the Carnival bands were engaged earlier in the project in terms of the validation exercise. In each of the countries, there were targeted stakeholder consultation to get their feedback, to get their views, their issues on Carnival in general, to inform of the project and what would they like to see in terms of development and the betterment of Carnival in their respective countries and the region as a whole. And coming out of this, well, the information was put together and the marketing strategy, the toolkit and the brand guidelines were developed accordingly.
Okay, so the very development of this initiative is stakeholder based.
Yes, stakeholder.
Okay, wonderful. I'm going to come back to you in a bit, but we continue on with our panel discussion. We now want to talk about the Cultural and Creative Industries Innovation Fund, a facility of the Caribbean Development Bank, and this is the facility through which the branding and commercialization of Carnival in the 3 islands is being financed. I now want to engage Dr. Mariel Barrow-Magnan, Cultural and Creative Industries Innovative Fund Coordinator from the CDB over in Barbados. Good afternoon to you, Dr. Barrow-Magnan. By the way, she's joining us over Zoom. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. How are you?
I am wonderful. It's really a pleasure to be here.
Nice. Just going to give you an opportunity to just give us a better understanding of this facility.
Certainly. At the Cultural and Creative Industries Innovation Fund at the Caribbean Development Bank, we have been delighted to support this project. And so all protocols observed, this has been a remarkable contribution to the branding and commercialization of carnivals, which includes St. Lucia, Grenada, and Dominica Carnivals, of course. As I shared during the opening of this project in September 2020, given the current moment with many of our carnivals on pause due to COVID-19, it is indeed prescient to carefully consider how carnivals will evolve going forward. We have worked intimately with Export St. Lucia and its partners to engineer this project. The CIIF team, inclusive of myself, the fund coordinator, Ms. Malene Joseph, project assistant, Ms. Tamika Lee, project consultant, and Ms. Suzanne King, our administrative assistant, and led by our MSME coordinator, Ms. Lisa Harding, have provided technical assistance and ideas alongside the ESL and partnering team, while ensuring that we moved our key processes along internally. This project will dovetail meaningfully with our festival protocol consultancy that is poised to be launched soon, where we will invite consultants to build a roadmap for the safe reopening of festivals and carnivals amidst the ongoing COVID-19 health crisis, and also considering the other kinds of crises that the region has and continues to face. Disaster resilience, as we all know, is a key concern for our region and, of course, for the bank. This project, being spearheaded by Export St. Lucia, is particularly concerned with intellectual property capture, as you have seen, a key output with implications for the broader creative industry community beyond these three islands is, of course, the intellectual property toolkit that you have heard about for carnivals and festivals. This is critical as intellectual property is one of the fastest growing components of the global economy, with companies such as Facebook, Amazon, Spotify, Netflix, and Google capitalizing on the monetization of IP. We are very, very proud of the output produced by Export St. Lucia, their Dominican and Grenadian partners, and Excella Marketing. Indeed, as you have just witnessed, the branding and marketing strategy and intellectual property toolkit produced are of high caliber and great utility, not only to the partners, but as a model for our 19 borrowing member countries at the Caribbean Development Bank. The intellectual property toolkit will be shared via our CIIF community of practice platform to the wider CIIF community as a tool for educating our audiences on best practices in this regard. We believe and hope that these two documents will be sources of live engagement, activating critical paths forward for our festivals and carnivals. My intention here is to share brief remarks. So in closing, we want to commend Export St. Lucia and the team led by Mr. Anthony John and partners for staying the course and for the success in collaborating across countries. Collaboration is one of CIIF's pillars, and partnering across countries is a key grant criteria therein. This team has demonstrated how groundbreaking multi-country collaborations can be. Although in many ways this is just the beginning, a sound plan that integrates intellectual property as a competitive advantage is critical for the region, as we do not have the opportunity to compete globally on the level of scale, but we are at the top of our game where it concerns creativity. This project has also exemplified CIIF's pillars of innovation in determining creative ways of marketing this trifecta that extends transversally to include education and harnessing the actual talent that we propose to share. We certainly hope that this project will produce like initiatives across the Caribbean so that as a region, we will assert our legal ownership and capitalize in innovative and respectful ways on the talents of our people to the benefit of our people. CIIF's goal is to enable the region's cultural and creative industries to be globally competitive and to systematically reduce poverty through sustainable socio-economic development. I believe that the team has planted colorful seeds in good soil in this regard. And if nurtured, these engagements will begin to succeed in CIIF's ultimate vision of awakening a global cultural consciousness for the Caribbean. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Dr. Baramanyan, Cultural and Creative Industries Innovative Fund Coordinator from the Caribbean Development Bank over in Barbados. And we hope that once this gets off the ground, you can visit our islands for Carnival.
Definitely my pleasure. Thank you.
I'm going to come back to you in just a moment to speak a little bit more on how CDF is facilitating development and growth of the creative sector, and also laying out the observed conditions that have led to the pursuit of addressing the policy and intellectual property issues related to the carnival, the 3 carnivals and the products involved. But we're going to go to now we're going to hear from the 3 islands themselves and the organizing agencies looking after Carnival in the 3 islands. I want to start with Dominica, the Nature Isle, from Discover Dominica Authority, Chief Executive Officer Dr. Colin Piper. Sir, I just want to, in starting with you, I just want you to lay out, the specific meaning, the significance of this marketing alliance, the unified branding and commercialization effort peculiar to Dominica's Carnival product.
Well, you gave me another title there. It's just Mr. and not Doctor, but thank you very much.
Oh, my apologies. Profuse apologies.
So welcome from the Nature Island of the Caribbean, Dominica. We're pleased to be a part of this initiative as well. Being a small island state, one where we have to rely on hubs for access, meaning that we do not yet have our international airport, although we just had a milestone moment of announcing the construction of our international airport. But nonetheless, we have had to work creatively. And so not only creatively in terms of, the literal meaning of, Carnival and World Creole Music Festival and such, but we are a country that has, we have welcomed collaboration, we have welcomed the fact that we have to work with other countries, and as such, this initiative, working specifically as it relates to Carnival, has been one that we went into open-handedly, open-armed, and we welcomed, and we did our utmost to be a part of it. We're thankful to be partnered with St. Lucia and Grenada, OECS countries. And I wouldn't say competitors, but showing more of a more cooperation in terms of seeing that the sum can be greater than the individual parts. And so that's one of the things that we looked at and one of the things that we appreciated. I think that focusing on the best of all islands will in fact show the best of us jointly. And so in that regard, we're very pleased to be a part of the CIIF project.
Okay. Tell us a bit about the Dominica Carnival brand right now.
Well, we are Mass Dominic, or the real Mass, the original carnival, the most spontaneous carnival in the Caribbean. So we have quite a few monikers, but Mass Dominic going, from our Creole ancestry. And that's the traditional aspects of Dominica's Carnival is what we believe are unique, and what we believe is our comparative advantage, and what we think is a differentiator. And as such, it lines up very nicely with how you can speak to a creative element of Dominica's, or a unique element of Dominica's Carnival alongside the others. So we are primarily patronized by the Dominica diaspora. And one of the things that we want to do, and why we're particularly thrilled with this initiative, is that we expect that this will give us additional exposure to the carnival goers, so to speak, the community of people who go to carnivals in different islands. And that by partnering with St. Lucia and Grenada and getting a different set of eyes looking at Dominica's Carnival, it'll all go well for us. in terms of attracting now some of these carnival goers to what is a new and different, or rather a different carnival experience. As you know, we are the creators of two genres of music, Calypso in the 70s and Bouillon in the 1980s, and so there's a lot of creativity that is in Dominica, a lot for people to experience beyond the natural assets that we have. So our brand is more of a unique traditional carnival, and I think that the love aspect of it is in keeping with who and what we are as Dominicans and what we want to portray out there.
Wonderful. Mr. Colin Piper, Chief Executive Officer over at Discover Dominica Authority. So we've heard about Dominica's competitive advantage when it comes to Carnival. We now hear from St. Lucia. What are we bringing to the table? Chief Executive Officer from Events Company of St. Lucia, Mrs. Lauren Sidoni. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Madam Moderator, Jessie Leons, Mr. Anthony John, Senior Client Manager of Export St. Lucia, Dr. Mariel Barrow Mahan, I think it's pronounced correctly, Cultural and Creative Industries Innovative Fund Coordinator of the Caribbean Development Bank, Mr. Colin Piper, Chief Executive Officer, Discover Dominica Authority, Mr. Kelvin Jacob, Chief Executive Officer, Spice Mass Corporation of Grenada, viewers, listeners, directors, managers, and staff of Events Company of St. Lucia, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, and thank you for viewing and being part of this. Jesse, to answer your question, a strategy such as this, which ushers in a change in thinking, really prompts a reflection as to what our carnival is all about and how it's evolved. Traditionally, St. Lucia's Carnival took place in February or March, depending on when Easter fell, and by extension, the Lenten season. And it really was for participants to, I guess, release inhibitions 2 days prior to the Lenten season, when the restrictions of Lent would set in. So for years, St. Lucia's Carnival happened in February or March. And then in 1999, going right back to then, the government of St. Lucia made a decision, a very bold decision, I must say, and a commercial decision, and I guess some would argue at the expense of religious traditions, to change Carnival to July and to fix it to the third Monday and Tuesday in July. And in so doing, they were able to speak to persons who wanted to travel in summer for Carnival, and more importantly, it was moved away from Trinidad's Carnival, and therefore there wasn't the pressure to compete with Trinidad's Carnival. I'm saying all of that just to sort of talk about the change, and because this trifecta approach now represents yet another change, and decisions have to be made, and it's not always easy decisions, but you've got to do things so that we can progress things along and move things along. And I think that's what's happening as we make a change and we introduce the trifecta approach to Carnival, and we now are talking about promoting 3 carnivals, 3 carnival experiences, 3 carnivals, yes, but as one product, with a distinctness for each carnival, but complementing carnivals. And that's really what we're doing here today. And I mean, it's really a dimension of integration, and the word integration and Caribbean integration has been tossed around for years. But yet we've seen that as small states and as small countries, where we've made the greatest mark, or they have had the greatest success, is when we've done integration right. I mean, the OECS, which was formed, I think, in 1981 under the Treaty of Bastille, so they're celebrating 40 years this year. It's a good example of what integration can do. So this trifecta approach, we see it as a branding and commercialization of carnivals that will allow us to integrate our strengths. And as Colin said, you know, we can do so much more when we do it together. alone we can do so little, together we can do so much, and thousands of cliches that speak to the strength of integration. So this is really what St. Lucia is happy about. I mean, Events Company of St. Lucia and the Cultural Development Foundation, the two agencies responsible for the conceptualizing and producing of Carnival, led of course by Export St. Lucia, in conjunction with Discover Dominica and the Spice Mass Corporation. We're happy about this project. We see numerous benefits as a result of this project. I mean, obviously there's the economies of scale to be had. There are economic activities to be gained. It's branding at a higher level. It's increased and improved the marketing. It's maximizing returns on our investment. So St. Lucia is happy that this is happening. We have been flagged as the party pillar in the Trifecta approach, and I think that's quite fitting. I think that St. Lucia represents the more sophisticated and organized carnival, the glamour and the glitter. The party, we're known for our parties, private parties and the public parties. And I think to be flagged then as the party or the yellow or the gold of the Trifecta approach is extremely fitting. We're happy about that. And we do want to say a special thank you to Caribbean Development Bank through the Cultural and Creative Industries Innovation Fund for initiating this project and for funding it. So we're extremely grateful about that, when we're happy to be part of the project.
Wonderful. So we've heard so far from Dominica, we have heard from just now St. Lucia, so that's love and then party. And now the power in the ritual, the power pillar in the Trifecta, Grenadian Carnival, Spice Mass, another well-established cultural brand, a Grenadian heritage really. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Kelvin Jacob, Chief Executive Officer of Spice Mass Corporation Grenada. Tell us, what are some of your expectations coming into this arrangement?
Hello, good afternoon. I stand on the protocol established, and good afternoon to all the viewers out there on the live. Now, Spice Mass, as we know, and as you rightly said, we have a very strong brand, and it's our premier cultural event. It begins in May and climaxes with all its power and splendor during the second Monday and Tuesday of August. Now, Spice Mass is our brand, and it's managed by Spice Mass Corporation under the umbrella of the Ministry of Culture. It's a statutory body managed by a board and the Ministry of Culture here in Grenada. Now, prior to 2011, Spice Mass Corporation, or Grenada's Carnival, was managed by a committee. And this year, we are celebrating 10 years as a corporation. So we moved from a committee to a corporation, statutory body. And we are celebrating this year 10 years as the corporation, Spice Mass Corporation, and also 10 years of the brand Spice Mass. So it is very timely and it is very fitting for this collaboration, where we can get some ideas in terms of strengthening our brand. Yes, we have a strong brand, but we know for sure there's always strength in numbers, and we can always learn from each other. And this project gave us a time to look at the different islands that we are partnering with and see what we can take from each other in terms of creating that very strong brand. And when we look at branding and marketing in terms of the strategy that has been put forward, we know research has shown, and the evidence is also there, that when you want to bring a strong brand, most important aspect of any business, companies that effectively focus on developing and maintaining their brands are always better able to differentiate themselves from the competition and also have better marketing results. So coming together, three islands coming together, we are sure that we can come out with that strong brand, showing that love, that party, that power brand in the Trifecta aspect of the carnival that is being put forward by the project. Now, those of us who are charged with the responsibility of managing our different carnivals, we must see the importance of making sure that our brand remains strong and relevant in the market. We must also be very careful not to make decisions that will hurt the brand and eventually cause us to lose our market share. So again, that collaboration, working along with St. Lucia, working along with Dominica, we can always piggyback on each other to make sure that we do not damage our individual brands, while we work together in terms of strengthening another brand that we are going to put out there that is going to give us more competitive edge in terms of other carnivals in the region and in the world. Now, when it comes to choosing one carnival over the other, we must understand our clientele. And carnival lovers, they have many choices, we know, and they have very little time. Most carnivals, they have similar offerings and similar features. And carnival goers, they tend to base their choices on customer experience and trust. And again, when we look at our brands, when we look at the brand that we are creating, we have to be mindful of that. So I must say that I am very confident in the end result of this project. The blueprint that was produced, which speaks to the branding and the marketing strategies, the brand guidelines that we have in front of us, and the intellectual property toolkit provides some of the very practical and effective strategies and guidelines to help the three carnivals develop and maintain a strong brand. Now, I know for sure that the cooperation, SpiceMass Corporation, we are very happy with the results produced from this project, and we will be happy to adopt the strategies put forward for the improvement of our product, SpiceMass, the activities, and the overall brand. And the Trifecta concept as well. It's a very excellent way of bringing the three carnivals together under a new brand. Three carnivals, one ritual, to attract more market share as we compete out there with the other carnivals of the world.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Kelvin Jacob, Chief Executive Officer over in the SpiceMass Corporation, Grenada. Three carnivals, one ritual. Love, party, power, join the ritual. We are due for a break at this time. Just want to remind you, if you're just tuning in, to let you know that we have a special panel discussion happening right now, discussing the branding and commercialization of Carnival, an integrated effort toward this for the three islands, and this is being financed through the facility of the Caribbean Development Bank's Cultural and Creative Industries Innovative Fund. When we come back, we're going to break things down, speak on the degree of restructuring required in the various islands, in the three islands, also the economics of this integrated approach, as well as how it redounds to the benefit of all Carnival stakeholders. Stay with us.
Say so. So they come and try to take the carnival from me, but the people love the sea more. Nothing can stop. 473, yes, we trending. What the chant on the summer? We going Grenada. People from all over singing. My friend from Germany say that we going Grenada.
We're on a mystery trip. We didn't know each other or knew where we were going. We just met in Miami airport and we ended up here.
Oh, I'm gonna be back again.
Wind up in a jab man. I love in Grenada. She here with her first no fight. I will do play my song. Cause she never get a yet.
Where you from?
South Africa. From Bolivia. I'm from Antigua. We're from London. Florida.
I'm from Australia. The UK.
Atlanta, Georgia. Representing Aruba.
Coming up to this place I say. One teacher to the summer.
We went to Juve this morning and it's just been amazing.
Jab is the best in the world.
You can just be yourself and have a good time.
And Grenada, very, very beautiful island, very friendly.
One family on the road.
There's something for everybody. Come to Pure Grenada, enjoy our Spice Mass, because we're the spice of the Caribbean.
3 carnivals, 1 ritual. Love, party, power. Join the ritual. This is a special panel edition to discuss the Cultural and Creative Industries Innovative Fund, CIIF, that is coming out of the CDB financing the branding and commercialization of Carnival in St. Lucia, Dominica and Grenada. We're talking Trifecta Carnival, a collaborative marketing initiative as well as other ventures to enhance the cultural and creative offerings of these 3 islands. And before we went to break, we just heard from all of the panelists what they're bringing to the table, their expectations generally. I now want us to get into the degree of restructuring that is required. I mean, we don't need to get down into figures or anything, but just to give us some insight as to what will be required of the various islands to meet the expectations of this project. I just throw it out there for any one of the agencies, organizing agencies, or Export St. Lucia to tackle. And there was silence. I just want to engage perhaps Mr. Piper, if you could just give us some insight on Discover Dominica Authority. What work needs to happen there?
Well, what we're going to do with this is really build upon what we already have, and I think that was a wonderful aspect of the assignment, was that it wasn't a complete breaking down and tearing down of what was, but rather a building upon what each of the destinations have and what each of the brands have, because Carnival for us is historic, and a lot of our culture goes into it, and so we're going to build upon what is, look at the fact that this allows us to provide a little more structure to the experience that one can have in Dominica. Although we say the most spontaneous or the most original, there are people who love to plan, and we want to provide that planning aspect so that people know exactly what it is they're going to be doing from day 1 to day 7. So these are some of the things that we're going to look to do. We are a virtual organization, so to speak, just 5 people, so to speak, but we rely on a lot of committees. So we have to make sure that structurally we can make sure that everybody knows what's happening. But for us, we talk about sustainability. We talk about not only in the natural sense of Dominica as a nature island of the Caribbean, but livelihoods. And this is what is most critical, is that people act most when they feel it in their pocketbook. And we have to make sure that the ordinary man who is part of the stakeholder community, whether they're playing an instrument or whether they're helping with costume building, that when we monetize Carnival, that they benefit. And in so doing, now they will begin to work further along with us as we try to adopt some of these changes. But it's not going to be a wholesale change, because it's not necessary. The assignment didn't find that. As I mentioned, it built upon the strengths that were already there and provided input. So the branding guidelines, the aspect of love to the Nature Island brand, we're going to be able to marry that. We're going to be able to go out and for us, the critical thing is to get to a new and different market that will look at our Carnival with new eyes, and put us on their consideration list. And then with the strategies now of what has been suggested, the amulet working with experiencing multiple of the carnivals, whether in 1 year or one in each year, we know now that we will get a different and increased patrons coming for Carnival.
Okay. I want to touch on an obvious objective, which is creating economic opportunities, more economic opportunities for Carnival stakeholders. Dr. Barrow Manyan from the CDB, if you could just speak to us about, the intellectual property strategy, a toolkit for Carnival and the products. How is that going to lay out a conducive environment for being able to generate real revenues?
Intellectual property, of course, is a very nuanced field that is really particular to the products and services that are available in a country. With regard to intellectual property, you can harness it in terms of a business plan and the cash flow potential in the immediate, but also in the future, what is expected. Intellectual property can also be harnessed, by thinking about the different countries in which it is operating. And so your intellectual property for Grenada Mass or St. Lucia Mass or the Trifecta might look different in Grenada as opposed to in the US when it is exported in some way in that realm. And it can also look different to, today as opposed to 2 years down the line. So the intellectual property has to be mapped. And that is a very specific skill that requires several persons to get involved, not only the intellectual property specialists, but also accountants and economists to think about how all of those things come together in the moment for you to be able to value and monetize that intellectual property going forward. So it's a very, very technical area. I think it is one that the region has, is in a sense, we are now embarking on it in terms of really capitalizing on the kinds of gains that we can potentially see from this. At present, the CDB also has a project with the Jamaica Intellectual Property Office, which is looking at monetizing, CI products and services. How do we do that? What are the infrastructures within each nation that are required for us to effectively do that? So it is a very complex subject that requires a lot of different elements in society to come together. The intellectual property structure within each country has to support the kinds of initiatives that we want to put forward within CI for the socioeconomic potential to be realized in terms of intellectual property. But what we are in the immediate able to accomplish with regard to intellectual property is protection, right? And that is critical because we don't want then that we haven't protected our intellectual property so somebody else is able to capitalize on it later down the line, which we have seen so frequently with so many Caribbean products and projects. So that it is a critical point for us to take this seriously. And as we have this kind of pause with COVID, it's really a great opportunity for us to, use that pause and put these things in place so that we have a really solid footing to move forward on once this period has, calmed down. So, I don't want to delve any further into this because it is so technical and so specific. So I really leave that to intellectual property specialists. But, this is just kind of a bird's eye view of what is involved or what's potentially involved in this intellectual property, these concerns.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Dr. Baramanian. I now want to engage either Mrs. Sidani or Mr. Jacob on this next one. Marketing, branding, commercialization to drive patrons, but also to attract better funding more funding for the eventual refinement and enhancement of the Carnival product. Tell us about how that will work out. Mr. Jacob? Okay, we don't seem to be hearing from Mr. Jacob. So, Mrs. Sidani, how are we going to capitalize on this project to attract more funding?
Okay, it's a business. Carnival is a business, and it needs to be looked upon as a business. And as with most businesses, it's a numbers game. What we're doing here is aspiring to get greater market share. And with that volume strategy, then you have more money flowing into each of the markets, you have more possible investment, and because you have more funding, you can do more. You can do more marketing, you can do more reaching out to your target market. It's really a drive to increase our presence, to increase our marketability, and to increase our funding. So the trifecta approach, as we've heard, some persons fear that it's a strategy that may allow for cannibalization of one carnival against another. But no, it's really to grow market share and to make sure that we each have a piece of a bigger pie. And we don't think there's any risk of cannibalization for a number of reasons. Firstly, the carnivals are not happening together. It's sequential. We have Dominica's own happening in February, then followed by St. Lucia all the way in July, and the Grenada closely following. I think they're the first weekend or the first week in August. So there's no need for one person to have to give up another carnival to attend one. You can actually, and we incentivize and rewarding persons if they attend all 3 carnivals, whether it be in the same year or in separate years. And then the carnivals are unique. We heard from each island in terms of the unique selling proposition, is what they call it in marketing, that would drive persons to each carnival. So Dominica is a spontaneous, natural type of carnival. We have St. Lucia that is known for structure and sophistication and party. And of course, we have the power people, the Jab Mass in Grenada. So there are unique selling propositions available in each market that will allow persons to want to participate in each of the carnivals. And again, the trifecta strategy is to incentivize persons to visit each carnival and to visit each country. So there's really a collaboration of acquiring greater market share away from the real competitors, Trinidad, Brazil, other carnivals throughout the region. This trifecta approach is meant to achieve greater market share, and in so doing increase the economic returns and the returns on our investment.
Wonderful. And now come to stakeholder engagement, because ultimately we have the stakeholders, the Carnival Band Associations, the Calypso, Calypso groups, the fraternities, wanting to know how is it going to redound. And you indicated earlier, Mr. John, that there was definitely engagement with the stakeholders for the conceptualizing of this project. If I could hear from Mr. Jacob, Mr. Piper, Mr. Sidoni, how has the engagement so far been with the stakeholders in each island? How receptive have they been so far to this integrated approach at enhancing the carnival products?
I'm sorry about the first question.
No problem.
I got left on that one. But I was going to say that the marketing and the advertising plan, that is critical in terms of taking out from this this project. So now that we have all of these advice from the project, I think creating a strong marketing and advertising plan to tap into different markets will help us in terms of bringing in more market share and monetizing our different carnivals. Merchandising, again, we got some good ideas for merchandising. So that's another aspect we're going to look at again. And the markets, we have to look into to non-traditional markets, where people have not been coming from to get into our different carnivals, like the African and the Asian markets. Maybe Spice Mass would have to look into more advertising into those markets, and that can obviously increase our market share. As it relates to the stakeholders, one of the critical things that I saw from the document was the SWOT analysis. And that was a lot, the ideas that came from that SWOT analysis. A lot of it came from our stakeholders. And we would have to pay a lot of attention to the weaknesses, especially pointed out in that SWOT analysis. We say that it came from our stakeholders and listen to what they are saying there and really try to work on improving that to get them to be happier with what the products that we are giving up. We know that many of them have been through the process with us in that project. And there is buying, and I think basically they're just waiting to see when we are open up again for carnival activities so that we can really work along together to execute a lot of the ideas and the plans. So as it comes to our stakeholders in Grenada, I think they are on board with us. And they are just waiting and hoping that we can actually pull off a carnival very soon.
We'll come to that in just a moment, particularly with the COVID-19 scenario. But Mr. Piper, if you could weigh in on the sentiments by the stakeholders over in Dominica.
Yeah, to echo the sentiments of Mr. Jacob, I think the critical part of this was in getting the input of the stakeholders during the activity. And we had a series of stakeholders. I think we broke it down to about somewhere between 8 and 10 different types of stakeholders, and had sessions, in-depth sessions with them to understand the areas. So whether it was an artist in terms of a musician or costume designer, or somebody that was more focused on the old mass aspect and less of the newer age type of celebrating carnival with costumes and the like. But listen to all of them to understand what their issues and their concerns were. And I think that if we can address some of the issues that they brought up, then we would be improving the aspect of carnival. We'd be improving the product, not only for the locals, but for everybody who comes to visit. And once upon a time, somebody told me that if you can get local buy-in to your project, then they will amplify. They will help to amplify, and they will help to market and sell. And it'll be something that they will do for themselves and their enjoyment. And in so doing, visitors will see that just that pure enthusiasm and want to be a part of the activity. And so that's one thing that I think that we need to do is, not look beyond and try to do this for the market out there, but also understand that part of the market that we are trying to improve our carnival for is the local, and they in turn will help us market it. So we definitely want to address, and we believe that the Trifecta has in fact helped us to address some of these, because the whole issue of monetizing, the whole issue of greater livelihood coming out of your craft, if we're able to bring more people in, that in fact will help as well.
Thank you very much for that contribution, Mr. Piper. And Mr. John, what of the St. Lucian experience? You confirmed that there had been stakeholder consultation here in St. Lucia. What has the reception been like?
Okay, from an Export St. Lucia standpoint, as a trade export promotion agency, which our mandate is solely to increase the aggregate volume and value of exports. We have markets that are our priority, likewise different sectors. And one of the key sectors in St. Lucia is the creative industries. And over time we have received an elongated amount of requests for support, whether it's technical or financial, from the creative industries. Getting wind of this project by CDB and the CIIF fund, we tabled a project together to address a key component of the creative industry, which resonates with St. Lucia and the other partnering countries, Dominica and Grenada. In terms of getting out the information there, the consultant was hired in the name of Acceler Marketing, and we work closely with the consultant together with the authorities in the respective countries, in St. Lucia, CDF, and also Events Company of St. Lucia, which really is their mandate in terms of the creative industries. So the three agencies, Reference St. Lucia, Export St. Lucia, the consultant, CDF, Events St. Lucia, not forgetting SpiceMass and also the Dominica Discovery Authority. We worked in tandem to ensure that the stakeholders, the persons on the ground who really benefits or who really knows the ins and outs of the carnival, had a say in this project. So there was extensive in-country market research, test research rather, in getting what's available or what's the type of carnival in those countries. Likewise, the validation exercises which was replicated in each of the countries, where the various carnival bands, promoters, sponsors, artists, the authorities and their members were engaged in meetings, discussions via Zoom because of the COVID situation, to ensure that we got their views, their comments, their feedback, and what they would like to see moving forward for Carnival and the creative industries in general. So after those sessions were completed, the consultant compiled it and they prepared the draft documents, which again was circulated to the various entities for feedback and their comments. And moving forward, based on the review we got, whether it was from St. Lucia, Dominica and Grenada, we're here today to at least shed some light on the positives that will come out of this project.
Okay. Another question I have that perhaps you, Mr. John, can answer. There would naturally be a concern that perhaps one carnival may overshadow another. I think the term to use is cannibalize, and you find perhaps one carnival product is doing better than the other two in this whole process. Can you speak to perhaps the reasons why or why it won't happen?
Okay, it was mentioned earlier on by the free partners in terms of finding the niche and knowing what your strength is and to capitalize on it. And likewise, there will be new opportunities for the individual carnivals to tap into. So that's one of the things that we're expecting, that you strengthen where you are, you look for new markets, whether it's in the region, out of the region. Also, the strategy documents that also put forward a lot of opportunities that can be had for those participating territories to tap into and to look at. So, I mean, coming out of the document and coming out of the discussion, there are a lot of positives that could come out and that could see that those carnivals could only get stronger and not be negative in terms of one carnival overriding each other. They each happen at different types of the year. They each have their own following, and they each have their own strength which they could put out there to get increased numbers and revenue, the return on investment in those countries.
Okay, wonderful. I would like to thank everyone for viewing this special broadcast being put on by Export St. Lucia in collaboration with the GIS here in Castries. We have come to the end of our special panel edition to discuss the Cultural and Creative Industries Innovation Fund, CIIF, and branding and commercialization of Carnival in St. Lucia, Dominica and Grenada. Trifecta Carnival, a collaborative marketing initiative, as well as the other ventures that are being undertaken to enhance the three islands' cultural and creative offerings. I would like to thank, before I leave, the panelists who've just weighed in on their expectations, the outlook for this project. So Mr. Anthony John, Senior Client Manager with Export St. Lucia, Dr. Mariel Barrow Magnan over in Barbados at the CDB, Caribbean Development Bank. She is overseeing the Cultural and Creative Industries Innovative Fund. Of course, this is the first facility through which this project is being financed. And from the three islands, Mr. Colin Piper, Chief Executive Officer from Discover Dominica Authority, Mrs. Lorraine A. Sidoni, Chief Executive Officer, in studio with us from Events Company of St. Lucia, and back on to Mr. Kelvin Jacob, Chief Executive Officer from Spice Mass Corporation in Grenada. Thank you so much for watching. We've come to the end of this panel edition to discuss this very, I dare say, promising project that will redound to the benefit of all involved in Carnival in these three islands. My name is Jessie Leon, signing off for now. We invite you to stay tuned for more NTN programming. Thank you very much for watching. To everyone in the three islands, as well as stakeholders at locations in the other countries as well, thank you so much for watching, and keep close tabs on the outcome for this initiative. Thank you and goodbye.
While Carnival has been viewed for its entertainment value, we recognize that it is one of the Caribbean region's most valuable exports. If therefore it is marketed and distributed with the right intellectual property protection, the economic benefits would be tremendous. Creating a strong brand for our festivals, capturing the culture and essence of the islands while protecting the intellectual property of these brands is essential to making our carnivals more sustainable and taking them to the next level. With this in mind, and through funding support from the Caribbean Development Bank's Cultural and Creative Industries Innovation Fund, St. Lucia, Dominica and Grenada have partnered to improve the branding, marketing and commercialization of their island's carnival. Brand development and intellectual property protection are key elements of any marketing strategy for Carnival. Creating, protecting, and marketing the strong identity of our carnivals will make Carnival even more attractive and improve the returns into the hands of Carnival businesses and entrepreneurs. This means increased revenue for our bands, our musicians and artists, our costume designers, and every businessman and woman who works in this vibrant industry. Export St. Lucia is proud to be the recipient of this funding from the Caribbean Development Bank and to work with the Events Company of St. Lucia, the Cultural Development Foundation, the Discover Dominica Authority, and the Spice Mass Corporation of Grenada, as we combine strengths and unite to highlight our unique carnivals which attract revelers worldwide. 3 islands taking Carnival forward together.